Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to do a quick video here. I want to do kind of it's a thread that a few people have done and have kind of done in different ways, where simply put, they usually kind of go through the alphabet like A through Z, and they'll pick an album for each letter based off of whatever criteria they're setting up. And yeah, just always thought those were kind of fun, especially with the few that I've seen lately. And so I was trying to think about maybe what to do with one of those, and my thoughts were to kind of go through and think about what's my favorite album in my entire collection, so across any genre for each letter. And so when I say favorite album, it could really be based around a number of different things. I mean, it could be because of the grail status that it brings to the table. It could be because just like musically, this is an album that I've just been so in love with for the last 30 plus years. You can never get enough of it. Maybe it's a $15-$20 album, but I spent like, so many years trying to find a copy of it, and that's what makes it so special and kind of priceless and that type of thing. So any number of criteria can make it that. So yeah, that's kind of what I did. And as of today, or I should say last night and today, this is kind of what I felt the picks were. If you ask me 2 days from now, there'll probably be totally different picks, because you know how that goes. But and I tell you what too, because I know this will take a long time if I actually get into specifics about each album, because you guys will know most of them anyway. I made kind of a cheat sheet when I was looking through my database, writing down some of the albums that would go with each letter. So I'll kind of maybe mention some of the ones that I wrote down that didn't quite make it, and then just show you the one that I actually ended up picking, instead of like talking in depth about each album. So we'll start with the numbers. And there really wasn't one that jumped out beyond 10,000 Maniacs for me. Our Time in Eden, probably my favorite album as far with a band with numbers. So these are the days that Can't Everybody Want, just kind of a lot of awesome stuff on there. My first album by them. So A's, some of the stuff that I skipped over. I have a beautiful OG copy of AC/DC's Highway to Hell. I've always loved just how fantastic the condition is on that album. Same with Razor's Edge. Alice in Chains Unplugged, music on vinyl. That didn't quite make it. I have all three original copies of Audioslave, their first three albums, including the sealed copy of Revelations, which is like a $400-$500 album. But after going through all of that, the one that really stuck out to me is, I think it's this one right here, which is a Japanese white label promo of AC/DC's Who Made Who. First album that ever brought me to AC/DC, so it definitely holds a special place in my heart in that regard. It's the one I like listening to the most, and it's a near mint Japanese promo. So I think that one kind of takes the cake for me with the A's. Go like this. All right, so then for B's, which was a big one, David Bowie promo of Aladdin Sane, a Black Sabbath promo, White Label promo is a big one. James Blunt Back to Bedlam, another very rare one. But I think ultimately this had to take the B's, which is Boston's self-titled legendary album and the beautiful White Label promo. It's kind of hard for me not to go with that one. So that's going to represent my B's for me. C's, there wasn't any competition there. I didn't even write down any other ones. John Coltrane's A Love Supreme, beautiful 1965 U.S. pressing. I mean, just absolutely fabulous. Yeah, that dominates any other C that I have in my collection. My favorite jazz album of all time. For D's, OG copy of Betty Davis Nasty Girls, Bob Dylan White Label promo, Danzig's first album Gold Stamp promo, beautiful copy with the hype sticker. So that was one that I thought was going to take the D's, but ultimately Dido's Life for Rent came in and kind of took the top spot. This is definitely not an easy album to find. I got this for Christmas like 15 years ago or something like that. Back when it was only a $30 album. But yeah, just fantastic album. Not only is the music fantastic on this, but it's just such a rare and hard one to find. I think over the past 3 years or so, I've probably had 8 or 9 people on Discogs email me about, would you be willing to sell that? And I would offer you this much and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's just one I cannot get rid of. That album is just so great. So that's nice to be on kind of the Grail and music side. Excuse me. So now we go to E. The Record Store Day copy of Empire Records. Didn't quite make it, which was almost a pick. Enya's A Day Without Rain definitely goes on that list for me, but good old Melissa Etheridge kind of squeaked by both of them. Yes, I Am. Fantastic album. Again, not a easy one to get a hold of, and just some of her great early stuff on here from '93. Fantastic album there. F. Kind of went right to Fuel on that one. Something Like Human was definitely an album I've been waiting for quite some time to be issued on vinyl. So when this came out, I was extremely pumped. So yeah, that one's easily probably my favorite as far as F's go. G. You had Genesis Greatest Hits. That just came out like a few months ago, which is another one I've just wanted forever. So that one was exciting. But I decided to go with a couple Peter Gabriel's on there as well. But I decided to go with Awake by Godsmack. Yeah, again, I almost went with Peter Gabriel's Shaking the Trees. That's a very hard kind of compilation to find, but Godsmack's my favorite band, and when I first saw that this was being pressed, like I was losing my crap like no other, because it had never been pressed on vinyl before, so it'd be hard for me to say that's not the one I'm happiest about. So that's G. Let's see. H. A couple of OG pressings of a couple of the Hives albums, but I think they're going to get nudged out. I don't know whether I can show here on YouTube or not, but Jimi Hendrix Electric Ladyland, kind of the original cover there. And yeah, I know technically it's the Jimi Hendrix Experience, but yeah, I'm putting this under H for Hendrix, so just a beautiful, beautiful copy of that. Just everything in fantastic condition. No ring wear or anything. This is a 73 UK pressing. So very nice. That's taking my H's. For I's, there's In This Moment, their first album is definitely one that came close, but I decided to go with Billy Idol, Kings and Queens of the Underground. And really happy to have this one in my collection, because I almost didn't pick it up, because when it first came out, it was like a $40-something album. This is back in 2014, and I thought it was a little bit overpriced. So I'm like, I'm not buying that. And then there's a FYE that was going out of business, and like the first 2 weeks, stuff was 10% off, then 25% off, then 50% off, and it got to the point where it was like 70% off of everything in the store, and no one had grabbed this yet. And I was like, wait a minute, for $9-10, I'll definitely grab it. And of course, the prices of them have kind of really shot up since then. And it's actually a pretty decent album. I mean, stuff like Can't Break Me Down and Save Me Now is very, very traditional Billy Idol stuff. So I'm really, really happy that I grabbed it, because I probably definitely wouldn't go back in and pay for what they're going for now as much as I would have wished I had it if I didn't. So that's I's. J, we're going to go with a nice gold stamp promo of Jesus and the Mary Chain, Psycho Candy. Fabulous copy of that. I remember getting this for $13, which was just an absolute steal. K, definitely going to fall in the Kiss territory. Close second was a beautiful copy of Kiss with no Kissing Time, but it's hard to nudge it out. I'm sorry, it's hard to nudge this out, which is a Kiss Love Gun. This is a 1977 Japanese pressing. As you can see, just in beautiful condition, absolute near mint condition. And of course, with the guns, none of the perforated edges have been detached or anything. I mean, just like the day it came out of the store. So that's just too beautiful a thing to pass up, even for the No Kissing Time. L, didn't even go through any others, because I knew right off the bat that this awesome copy of Led Zeppelin 2 RL copy was going to definitely take the cake on that. So beautiful, beautiful copy of that one. Can't deny that for L. And then M, that was a tough one. So some of the ones that were on the list but didn't quite make it. Alanis Morissette, OG copy of Jagged Little Pill. Machine Head sealed OG pressing of Blackening, which I'm proud of myself for being able to go this long without opening that, which, but I'm glad I didn't. A number of different OG Megadeth stuffs. My autographed copy of the Houdini, Melvin's Houdini, a signed copy by Dale and Buzz. And I didn't count signed stuff in there. I thought that was kind of cheating, so that's kind of why I left that Melvin's off. Some OG Manson stuff, but ultimately all of that got knocked out by Motley Crue. And this is Too Fast for Love, and this is one of the leather pressings, the third leather pressing. I believe there was two of them, or three of them. The first two had white labels, and the third one had a black label. But yeah, I have to give thanks to my boy JC for hooking me up with this. But yeah, that's definitely kind of the cream of the crop for me and my M's in my collection. N's. New Order Substance, OG copy of that. Almost got it, but I ended up nudging it out with 9 Inch Nails, Pretty Hate Machine. Beautiful OG copy of that. It was just kind of hard for me to deny that one. Definitely my favorite album by them. And this is a 1989 US pressing. Beautiful condition. That's going to be my favorite N. O. This is one that's kind of more about the collectible side of things, I think, than the music on this one. Because this is it's not a bad Ozzy album, but not my favorite. But Ozzy Osbourne Scream, a sealed OG copy of that, which is really nice. These don't pop up that often anymore. And so, yeah, I mean, I have the Ozzy box sets. You know, I have a listing copy and that type of thing. But, yeah, beautiful OG sealed copy of that is definitely a nice one to have in the collection. So I'm going to count that as the O's. P, there was some OG Priest stuff. Pat Benatar's Greatest Hits. I mean, that's a special album. It's like a $30 or $40 album, but just does not pop up very often. A sealed copy of POD Satellite, another one that's pretty special. But I think it's hard for those to compete with Pantera, Far Beyond Driven, OG copy in shrink with hype sticker. Beautiful condition there. So Pantera's going to take the nod on that one. Q, we'll go right to this nice Japanese pressing of Sheer Heart Attack by Queen. Another great one there. R, what was in the mix there? R, there was Roxy Music's first album, a white label promo. Rush, you know, Roll the Bones and Counterparts, you know, two very special ones there. An OG copy of REM Up, some OG stuff for Rage Against the Machine, some OG Ramones stuff. I mean, a lot of stuff in the R's that were kind of competing. And for me, all of that got beat out by a release from last year, which is the Rolling Stones 40 Licks. And I will say something about this album, because if you're asking kind of why this would beat out those, this just has so much meaning to me. Because when I had this 2 CD set, you know, way back in the day before I collected vinyl, 20 plus years ago, like I used to listen to that CD all the time, and I just thought it was one of the best, greatest hits, like collections of songs. And like I said, I played it to no end. So to see it, you know, on the 12x12 4 LP set with that, you know, the same cover and everything, the actual 40 licks. I was so pumped when this came out. And so, yeah, something just kind of emotionally, this is just extremely special to me to have in my collection. So that's how that beat out all that stuff for the R's. With the S's, I'm sorry, you know, Josh Stone, Mind, Body, and Soul was an absolute grail. That Seal that I've been wanting for so long, that almost should have been the winner here. Some OG Slayer stuff, some OG Soundgarden, some OG Stone Temple Pilots, on and on and on. What could beat all of that out for me would be this copy of the Stooges Funhouse. Not only to be in that condition and that awesome, but a white label promo in that condition and that awesome. I mean, talk about just an absolute prized possession for me right there. So very, very beautiful. This might actually be, even though it's not necessarily the most valuable album in my collection, this might be the one that I'm actually considering getting put in the slab with the grading thing and all of that. It's just this is just so freaking special to me. And I have other copies, you know, but yeah, that's awesome. So that easily takes the S's. T, I'm going to go Tears for Fears. Not only just a great album to own, period, but to have a nice Mo-Fi pressing of that is awesome. Let's see. U, speed up a little bit so the time doesn't get too far. U2, All You Can't Leave Behind, a nice OG pressing of that, which is really cool. So that's what I picked for U's. V, on the list was Velvet Underground Loaded, a very nice OG copy of that. And of course you have Van Halen, Different Kind of Truth, Van Halen Carnal, which I have to give a big thanks to Aaron Mutha Alamere for hooking me up with that a couple years ago. But I decided to go with Balance. This is just kind of that odd Van Halen album that just seems to, again, every time I see it in my collection, it's just something that just kind of holds a special place, even though it's not my favorite Van Halen album. I mean, 5150 is, so deal with it. But yeah, just great one to have there. And let's see, now we're at W. So yeah, for W, a couple of OG Wendy O. Williams, Winger's second album, a sealed copy of that with a gold stamp, not a gold stamp, with a hype sticker on it. But this is one where it's just completely about the music for me. The value or rarity of the album had nothing to do with it. Houdini's Escape, just one of my top 5 rap/hip hop albums of all time. This thing is just slamming from front to back. And after all these years, I mean, this came out in '84, just never loses the thing that made it so magical. So that's going to take my W right there of the album I'm just so freaking happy to have in my collection. And again, that's like a $10 album, you know, 10, 12 bucks. You can get a very nice copy of that easy, but just pure magic. For X's, we're going to go with X-Clan. Again, another one that kind of dates back to my high school years back in 1990. Very cool hip hop group there. For Y, I decided to go with Neil Young, Lanois. You know, always thought this was kind of a special album. I bought it when it first came out. Actually won a free copy of it too that I sold later on. But it was just one of those albums that people didn't pay a lot of attention to, but even at the time I thought was special. So I think just by, you know, the price of them have definitely gone up a little bit. You know, they probably flow in the 140, 150 range or something like that. But it's just a really cool album, and every time I've played it at the shop, people are just like, who's that? What's that? Oh, I've never heard that Neil Young album before, and I'm not quite sure why. I just never quite got the props I felt it deserved, but really cool album. That's going to take my Y. And then for Z, it was kind of a tough choice there, but I decided to go with Rob Zombie, American Made Music to Strip By. I say tough choice because Hellbelly Deluxe musically is my favorite Rob Zombie album, but this one is kind of some remixes from stuff off of that and other albums, and then also kind of the rarity of the OG pressing. I think this just kind of nudged out that Hellbelly a little bit. So another awesome album there from a 1999 release. And then I also did box sets, or actually I should say a couple different things. Cassettes. Going to go with my Metallica Death Magnetic, a sealed copy from Malaysia. Those are not easy to find at all. So that's probably my favorite, most valued cassette. CD box sets. I'm going to go with Alice Cooper, the studio albums. You know, it's really kind of hard not to go with my Placebo or Roxy Music box sets. Those really are two of my favorites. But I just really love this Alice Cooper. I don't know, it's just one that always stood out to me as just being kind of something special about it. Little gatefold jackets there and everything. So really cool set. And again, not as easy to stumble across these days. Long box. I'm going to go with Velvet Underground. And this is kind of a cool one where you get, you know, those albums. There's a booklet inside and all that good stuff. But really cool long box set there. 7 inches. I'm going to say my favorite in my collection is Crying Like a Bitch by Godsmack, because again, Godsmack's my favorite. I don't do a lot of deep diving with looking for 7-inch. You know, if I find something with a nice sleeve and the record's in good condition, you know, I'm hoping it's 50 cents and I grab it. I don't look for a lot of rare stuff or anything like that when it comes to 7 inches. But if Godsmack puts out anything on a 7-inch, I definitely want to have it. And then as far as CDs go, just individual CDs, we're still sticking with Godsmack. This is definitely my favorite in my collection, which is why it's on my wall. This is Godsmack's their independent release. So back before they got signed, when they were just kind of, playing the clubs and selling stuff out of the back of their car and all that good stuff, this is what they were selling. And pretty much all the songs on this album are what they re-recorded for their debut album. So that to me is a very special one to have, considering how much I love that band. And then as far as vinyl goes, there were 3 sets on the list that I thought were kind of there. Ozzy Osbourne's, the Ozzy box set, almost made it. Next in line would have been the David Bowie, the very first box set. But I think ultimately it got nudged out by this, which is Slayer, the Vinyl Conflict. Very cool set with all of those goodies in there. So really, really awesome set. I was so glad that I got this when it first came out. So fantastic, fantastic piece there. I'm going to say that's my favorite vinyl box set. So again, ask me tomorrow, and I'm sure half these answers will change, but just kind of a fun little exercise to do. And as always, VC, let me know what you guys think, and we will talk to you soon. All right, take care, guys.